Hey everybody, it's Ron from Pick Dawgz. This is Ron's Rundown. We're going to go over the MLB games scheduled for Saturday, June 1st, 2024. Now, if you like what you see, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to put your baseball picks in the comment section below. And if you're looking for my best bets, including my daily rundown best bet in the MLB, you can find those at the premium picks tab at pickdawgz.com. There's also a link in the description. Alrighty, here we go. Here are the games for Saturday, Major League Baseball. First up, we see the Pittsburgh Pirates taking on the Toronto Blue Jays. Looks like it's going to be Mitch Keller and Yusei Kikuchi as the projected starters. I got to mention, this is a pretty tough Saturday card in Major League Baseball. I think there's a lot of games that can go either way. So I'll be treading lightly for Saturday's card overall. But in this matchup, Kikuchi has not been pitching too well recently. And even when he does pitch well, the Blue Jays don't back him up. When you look at the last 5 starts, all of his starts in the month of May, all losses for the Toronto Blue Jays. And while Kikuchi still has that 3.62 ERA in the month of May, that last start against the Tigers was 3 innings of 8 base hit, 5 earned run baseball with a home run and no strikeouts in that one as well. And all of us see that, the control's been off, both missing inside and outside the zone in recent games. And the Pirates, while the month of May wasn't their best month against lefties, overall this season, they've been better against lefties and right-handed pitching when it comes, to their offense. So Mitch Keller's been solid recently, if he is in fact the starting pitcher here, and I'm going to take a shot at with the Pittsburgh Pirates on the money line and plus the 1.5 runs. Next up, we see the Tampa Bay Rays taking on the Baltimore Orioles. Taj Bradley and Kyle Bradish are your starters. Bradley, really great outing from him in that last game against the Royals. Obviously, a really tough lineup, and he went 5 innings of 1 base hit, no earned run baseball, 6 strikeouts in a 4-1 Rays victory. I mentioned Bradley's got great strikeout stuff, but the control, whether he misses inside or outside the zone, is always a little bit of a concern. He does give up a lot of sharp contact, and that's why we saw him give up 2 home runs in the previous start to the Boston Red Sox. And like I mentioned, 3 walks in that game against Kansas City. So against an Orioles lineup that has pretty good power numbers this year and some of the best home run hitters in baseball, I do think Bradley could struggle, and especially with Bradish on the other side, I just think that, a couple of runs given up by Bradley early in this game could be enough. I mean, the Rays offense has been miserable against right-handed pitching. Bradish is in great form, 11 strikeouts from him in that last game against the White Sox. I got to go with the O's in this one, lay the 1.5 runs and take them on the money line. Next up, we see the Arizona Diamondbacks taking on the New York Mets. We're going to see Blake Walston and Sean Manaea as your starters. 2 lefties on the mound in this one, and 2 teams that in the month of May did not hit left-handed pitching too well. When you look at the Arizona Diamondbacks, they had a great start to the year offensively against lefties, but in May, ranked 28th in team OPS with a 581 OPS. The New York Mets, not much better. Actually, they're worse. They're dead last in baseball at 570 in terms of OPS. And isolated power numbers a little bit better for both teams. Strikeout rate for the Mets at 25.3%. Not where you want to be. Manaea's in good form. He's given up 3 earned runs or fewer in each of his last 5 starts. The Mets have won 4 of his last 5 starts. Walston, after struggling a bit in that first game against the Dodgers, bounced back in a big way against the Marlins in that next one. 4 2/3 innings, shutout baseball, 4 strikeouts to go with it. I'm going to go with the under here in Mets Diamondbacks. Next up, we see the Chicago White Sox taking on the Milwaukee Brewers. Garrett Crochet and Robert Gasser are your starters. I mentioned that last start for Garrett Crochet and the White Sox where, Crochet was in great form and he, looked like he was going to have a good outing against Baltimore as well. But he was up against Kyle Bradish and a very good Orioles team, much better Orioles bullpen. The margin of error in that one was just so slim that if Crochet had a little bit of struggle here and there, it probably was enough for the Orioles to win the game and, and cover the run line. And that's exactly what we saw. He pitched really, really well. He had 6 innings, 2 earned runs, 11 strikeouts, quality start by far. But he gave up a home run, gave up 2 earned runs, and it was a 4-1 final score in favor of Baltimore. I could see a very similar score line and result in this one. The Brewers have hit lefties well, so I could see him getting a couple of runs on Crochet, even though he's in great form. And with Robert Gasser pitching as well as he has, that last game against the Cubs, 6 innings, shutout, 7 strikeouts, no walks. He's only given up 1 walk in 23 innings and no home runs. And while the strikeout numbers were a concern for me at the beginning, we saw him have 7 Ks in that last game against Chicago, so he's starting to miss some more bats, and the Brewers are 4-0 in his first 4 games, all blowout wins, 11-2, 10-2, 7-5, 2-run win, and then 5-1. So I'm going to go with the Milwaukee Brewers here and the under. I'll lean towards the under as well, but give me the Brewers on the run line. Next up, we see the Detroit Tigers taking on the Boston Red Sox. Reese Olson and Cooper Criswell are your starters. Finally, the Detroit Tigers got Reese Olson a W. He pitched so well for him, and they were not able to back him up. In the run support department, they had lost every single one of his games except the first game of the season for him on April 1st. But even in that game, it was an extra innings ball game, so he didn't get the actual W. He finally gets his first decision W in that last one against the Blue Jays. Pitched really well, 6 1/3 innings. No earned runs, just 1 unearned run. Strikeout numbers for him haven't been great, but his per nines otherwise, in terms of the home runs and walks, have been excellent. Look at Cooper Criswell on the other side. While he was pitching really well for Boston, that last game against the Orioles really struggled. 7 earned runs, 7 base hits, and only 4 innings of work. I got to go with the Detroit Tigers in this game on the money line. Next up, we see the Minnesota Twins taking on the Houston Astros. Joe Ryan and Framber Valdez are your projected starters. Joe Ryan's been much better on the road this year than he has been at Target Field. You look at the 35 2/3 innings at Target Field, a 4.29 ERA, 5 home runs given up. But on the road, 31 1/3 innings, a 207 opponent's batting average, only 2 home runs given up, and a very stellar 1.44 ERA. Now, the Astros are a tough lineup, and they hit the ball well against righties in the month of May, but I think Ryan can do enough here, give the Twins a quality start, hand it over to that solid bullpen. And Framber Valdez on the other side, very inconsistent in recent games. We saw him have a quality start in that last one against Seattle, but still wasn't enough for the W. Before that, giving up 8 earned runs and 3 home runs to the Angels, and what concerns me was that was his last home game at Minute Maid Park. So facing a Twins team, it's been decent against lefties. You're all over the place in terms of consistency. The Astros are just 2-3 in his last 5 games. I'm going to go with the Minnesota Twins in this one on the money line. Next up, the Oakland Athletics taking on the Atlanta Braves. We're going to see Aaron Brooks and Chris Sale as your starters. To me, while the Braves, I don't love backing them at this kind of price right now with how their offense has been, it's still just too much of a lopsided pitching matchup for me. I got to go with the Braves and lay the 1.5 runs. Chris Sale, arguably a top 3 pitcher in all of baseball right now in terms of his numbers. 8-1 record, 2.12 ERA, great strikeout numbers, and it was it's what's even more impressive was he kind of struggled a little bit out of the gate. We saw that game against the Marlins where he gave up 5 runs, gave up some home runs early on, but in the month of May he's got 32 innings, 45 strikeouts, and a .56 ERA. And all of the games in May were wins and covers of the run line by the Braves. 5-2, 5-0, 7-0, 3-0, and 8-1. So, a lot of shutouts in those games, and he's just been excellent. Aaron Brooks has pitched pretty well, 3.63 ERA, but I do expect some big-time regression concerns going forward. We got to remember that last game against the Astros, while it was only 1 earned run, he still gave up 4 unearned runs, 9 base hits, and a homer in a 5-2 loss, and he only had 1 strikeout and 3 walks in that ball game. His strikeout number is the big concern for me. Just doesn't miss enough bats. I think the Braves can get to him early and often. I like the Braves laying 2.5 runs in this game. Next up, we see the San Diego Padres taking on the Kansas City Royals. We're going to see Alec Marsh and Joe Musgrove as your starters. Alec Marsh, that last one, he was able to go 7 innings, and he had 7 strikeouts, but gave up 2 home runs and 5 earned runs in the end, and that ended up being a Royals loss. So one of the more profitable pitchers at the beginning of the season in baseball. Now the Royals are just 1-2 in his last 3 starts. A little bit concerning for me. This is a pretty tough Padres lineup against a righty, and Joe Musgrove's in good form after a really tough start to the year. He had the injury. His first 2 starts back from the injury, pretty solid. 8 1/3 innings combined, giving up 2 earned runs with 8 strikeouts, no home runs against the Reds and the New York Yankees. And he pitched against the Yankees in that last one in a 5-2 Padres victory. And I think even if these starting pitchers kind of cancel each other out, I got to give the edge to the Padres bullpen. While the Royals bullpen ERA is solid, their expected numbers are some of the worst in baseball, including the dead last xFIP at 4.77. San Diego's bullpen, I think, is one of the better bullpens in the National League. So I'm going to go with San Diego Padres in this game on the money line. Next up, we see the Texas Rangers taking on the Miami Marlins. No official starter for Texas, but we should see Ryan Weathers on the mound for Miami. He's in great form right now. I mean, he's got a 3.16 ERA now on the season. The Marlins have won each of his last 3 starts. He's given up 3 earned runs or fewer in each of his last 5 games. His strikeout numbers have been excellent. His last 2 starts, 15 Ks in 13 innings against some tough lineups in Arizona. I mean, Arizona does a good job at limiting strikeouts, and the Brewers have hit lefties very well in the month of May. So I'm impressed with Ryan Weathers, and he faces a Rangers team. They're the defending World Series champions. We know they have a good lineup on paper, but in the month of May, they're ranked 26th in baseball in isolated power against lefties, 25th in team OPS. I do expect those numbers to improve in June and going forward, but right now they're struggling, and I got to go with Ryan Weathers and the Miami Marlins on the money line. Next up, we see the Washington Nationals taking on the Cleveland Guardians. We're going to see Ben Lively and Mitchell Parker as your starters. There's no doubting that this is a tough matchup for Mitchell Parker, a young starting pitcher on the road facing a Guardians lineup that is already tough to navigate to begin with because of the top of the order. Guys like Jose Ramirez do such a good job at, working pitch counts, getting on base. He doesn't strike out very often. He's got great power. He's one of the best players and one of the more underrated players in baseball. So it's tough to face that top of the order and guys like David Fry having, a stellar season. But Mitchell Parker's faced a lot of tough lineups this year. I mean, just his last game against the Braves, he went 6 1/3 innings, 3 runs, quality start, and the Nationals won that one outright. Previously against the Twins, another decent lineup. He was okay in that one, quality start, and it was still a 12-3 Nationals outright W. And to begin his career, he faced the Dodgers and Astros in his first 2 major league starts. 2 wins for the Washington Nationals. He's faced the Rangers and pitched pretty well. He faced the Orioles, and he was 1 out shy of a quality start there. So Parker's faced a gauntlet of teams. I don't think he's going to be too intimidated in this game. And Ben Lively on the other side I expect big time regression for him going forward. We saw that last one. He was okay, in terms of 7 innings, 2 runs, looks great on paper, but he also gave up an absolute bomb to Matt Tice, a 446-foot home run. If he misses inside the zone, it is absolute batting practice, and I think that the Nationals can take advantage of that. But I'm going to go with the Washington Nationals here on the money line. Next up, we see the Los Angeles Angels taking on the Seattle Mariners. Reed Detmers and Bryce Miller are your starters. Reed Detmers is not in good form right now. His control's been off. Last game he had good strikeout numbers, 8 Ks in 5 innings, but 4 walks to go with it, and he only went 5 innings, 3 runs, and it still was, an Angels loss in the end. The Angels are now 1-4 in his last 5 games. He, before that game, gave up 6 earned, 4 earned, and 6 earned, with 7 earned before that one as well. In the month of May, he's got that ERA all the way up to 9.49, so I just can't get there with him in this spot against the Mariners team. It's hit lefties pretty well in May, and Bryce Miller's also pitched really well at T-Mobile Park. So far on the road this year, 4.76 ERA, but at home, 2.48. So give me the Seattle Mariners here on the money line and run line. Next up, we see the Cincinnati Reds taking on the Chicago Cubs. Hunter Green and Justin Steele are your starters. Hunter Green's in excellent form right now. He had to face the Dodgers in back-to-back starts in his last 2 games, and he went quality start. 6 1/3 innings, 2 runs, 6 innings, 1 run in those 2 games, and he's given up 3 earned runs or fewer in each of his last 5 starts. His strikeout numbers are solid, and his control's been a lot better this year. I think he pitches pretty well against a Cubs lineup that's been pretty inconsistent. Justin Steele, we know he struggled quite a bit. The ERA still at 4.45, and he also had some injury problems so far this year, but that last game against Milwaukee was vintage Justin Steele. 7 innings, 8 strikeouts, no earned runs. We gotta remember, Steele was one of the better pitchers in the National League last year. So while he had his struggles, I still think when he's healthy 100%, he could still be one of the best pitchers in this league. And that last game was proof of that. So I'm going to go with the under here in the Cincinnati Reds-Cubs ball game. Next up, we see the St. Louis Cardinals taking on the Philadelphia Phillies. Sonny Gray and Ranger Suarez are your starters. Great pitching matchup in this one. I think both starting pitchers pitched well. Ranger Suarez struggled in that last game. Really was his first bad start of the year, but that was at Coors Field. That not every starting pitcher, even if they're the best of the best, will pitch well at Coors Field. It's just a completely different, ball game. And Suarez gave up 4 earned runs, especially for more of a pitch-to-contact guy like Suarez, but he still had 9 strikeouts in that game. He's had 19 in his last 2 games, so he's missing bats. I think he bounces back here. Sonny Gray is in great form this year. 2.6 ERA. In the month of May, he hasn't been as strong as he was in April, but still a 3.77 ERA, 28 2/3 innings, 35 strikeouts. Does a pretty good job at keeping the ball on the ground and limiting sharp contact. His control's been a little bit off recently, but not too bad. 2 walks in his last 3 starts each. You'll be able to take that, if you're the Cardinals, and you got 2 good bullpens in this game. It's why I'm leaning towards the under, but also at this kind of price, I'd say you take a shot here with the St. Louis Cardinals on the money line. So give me the under in the Cardinals. Next up, we see the New York Yankees taking on the San Francisco Giants. We're going to see Logan Webb for San Francisco, no official starter for the Bombers. Logan Webb, we've mentioned, he pitches a lot better at home at Oracle Park. He does a good job of keeping the ball on the ground, and it's nice to see him that even on the road in his last couple of games against the Pirates and the Mets, he was able to pitch well. 13 innings, 2 earned runs, 14 strikeouts, especially that last game against New York. I was a little bit worried about him in that game. He was excellent. 7 innings of no earned run baseball with those 8 strikeouts. The control's been there. No home runs given up in the last 4 games. And like we mentioned, at home, he's at a 1.03 ERA this season. We'll have to see who the official starter is for New York, but I've mentioned the bullpen regression concerns for the Yankees. Good ERA, but the expected numbers aren't the best. It's the opposite for the San Francisco Giants. I'm looking to back San Francisco in this one on the money line. And the final game we're talking about for the Saturday card of Major League Baseball, it's the Colorado Rockies and the Los Angeles Dodgers. Cal Quantrill and Yoshinobu Yamamoto are your starters. Just a lean to the under for me in this one. The money line prices are just too much where I would honestly think about taking the Rockies here because Cal Quantrill's pitched really well this season, even at Coors Field. I didn't think he would actually have a great year at Coors. I just don't consider him a Rocky-style pitcher, but a 3.53 ERA at this point in the year is impressive. Yamamoto's pitched well. Recently not the best starts for him. We saw that last game, 4 earned runs given up, but I still think he's one of the best pitchers in the National League and has great strikeout stuff. So I'm going to lean towards the under. And like I said, I think about taking a shot here with the Rockies. And that's it. Those are the games for Saturday in baseball. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. And don't forget to put your baseball picks in the comment section below. Again, if you're looking for my best bets, you can find those at Pick Dawgz Premium. As always, this is Ron Romanelli. Good luck.